engines roar in the background, the sun begins to set, the green flash flies, and we are racing here in very, very sketchy deep contact, and there goes Valentin Barrier. Oh! The leader's lost it! Not Aiden loses it into the gravel at the final corner, loses it. An amazing bit of work there from Luke Harrison.
Inside three abreast heading into Brual.
It's been lights to flag victory for George 50. He's done everything that's been required. It's looked so bloody easy yet again.
Panic not, ladies and gentlemen, because we are back once again here on the Genisus Esports channel. We have missed you for all of that 1 week that we are away. The dust has just settled on the Genisus Risk Kaizen Championship Season 2, and we get hype all over again for Season 3. My name is David Christie, and joining me in the commentary box is my good buddy, yet again, Tapelo Marioli. Tapelo, it's been a whole week since I've seen you last, but I mean, here we are again for Season 3, Round 1. We are at the Red Bull Ring.
Yeah, good to be back. I wasn't fired, so let's kill those rumors. I just had problems on my end, but it's good to be back. A track I'm really a big fan of, so I think this is the best way to start a new season. Fantastic track, stacked grid, lots is going to be happening tonight.
Yeah, stacked is absolutely the word. We'll come back to that in a second. This is our 12-round calendar, though, ladies and gentlemen. We start at the Red Bull Ring and we end at the end of June at the Nordschleife. We are going there, and it is going to be the most important rounds right at the end. But we all have to start things here in Austria at the 2.683 mile circuit. Prizes on offer for the championship. I think it's an $1,150 prize pool. You can see their winner getting $500, and then $300, $200, $150. And viewers will be in with a chance of winning $10 Steam vouchers. Just so happens that is enough to get yourself a little cheeky Nordschleife DLC, or get yourself some of the latest updates to ACC and get yourself involved here. Right, we talked about stack grid. We were not kidding when we said that. We have got some huge names. Obviously, got a lot of names returning from Season 2. Valentin Barrier, Luke Harrison, David Pertil's back in here. We've got the likes of Marco Bischoff, Luke Whitehead is back in here. But a couple of big names that we've just seen coming in for this time. We saw them on the end of Season 2, but it's a very warm welcome here to Pello to some guy called Jardier.
Yeah, look, I think that's always the most interesting thing. Like, start of the season, first two races, there's so many new names. You're trying to figure out who's who, you know, what car they're driving. And as much as you make it look simple, David, you're like a pro at this. It kind of takes some getting used to. You kind of get to like round 3 before you know who's who do you look out for, how to pronounce all the names. But I love this part of the season. It's new, it's fresh, and as we always say, you're gonna see a lot of these guys develop throughout the season. They might have a rocky start first 2, 3, 4 rounds, but from then on they pick up their racecraft, their pace, and it just gets better and better week in, week out. As we saw towards the end of Season 2, every race was so technical, so brilliant. I loved it. I loved everything about Season 2, so I hope Season 3 is going to give us, if not the same, but so much better.
I think it's going to be a given that we're going to get some more absolutely incredible racing. Remember, a lot of these drivers using this as the intended purpose, which is, of course, a springboard, a test bed for the LFM Pro season, which starts again tomorrow night. So it's a very, very worthwhile little tester for them to get on with. But 5.5 minutes left to go in this first qualifying session of the brand new season, and again only getting the 1 week of rest before going straight back into it. But just to give you a bit of an idea as to the gap right now, I mean, that cannot be right. You're not telling me. Get this, Tapelo, 40 cars, right? 40 cars separated by a second. I have never in my life seen that before. A whole second separating just 40 cars.
Well, that's the Red Bull Ring for you, right? It's one of the weirdest tracks because it can be so close. First time I'm seeing it as well, and I've watched a few races, I've watched so many things. 40 cars within a second, that opening lap is going to be the closest thing we've ever seen in racing. I'm telling you already, it's going to be bunched up, it's going to be fantastic. We're going to struggle to keep our breath once again, but that's why we're here.
Certainly is, and if that's the case, I think we're doomed because we've only just got it back after season 2, after the way that all ended. But yeah, so much to talk about coming up into this first race of the season. Remember, 60-minute race here. We've got a mandatory pit stop. Pit stop window will open between roughly 40 minutes to go and 20 minutes to go as Samir Foch. That's a creative line into turn number 2 there, and he decides to pull that off as he's in the prancing donkey in the AAA. Well, some creative team names out there tonight here, Tapello.
Always fantastic. I always say this, and I'm going to say it again. Sim racers tend to be the most creative people when it comes to names, liveries. Everything they do is just so offbeat that if you don't catch it right, they're amazing. They're amazing. Prancing Donkey might be the name of the season already.
Very well could be, as here comes George Boothby, and this is Henry Meyer in a bright yellow car here, bright yellow McLaren. This is the Tubbies or Teletubbies team. I honestly, for a minute, when I was sitting in pit lane earlier on, we got a sneak peek of this thing. I thought it was I thought it looked like the NASCAR M&M's livery, just with the yellow and the bright colours. But yeah, that is. Teletubbies over here in the UK haven't been a thing for around about 25 years, so it's a bit of a flashback to see that out there. But at the end of the day, it's great to see teams having a bit of fun there, but it's all about what we can see on the track there. George Booby out there in second place, of course. That's what he's affectionately known by the rest of the field. And just 1/10 of a second behind Jack Alexander, who returns with us for a third season, wiping the slate clean, so hopefully he'll be starting afresh as well as we go on board with Grant Caracas then into turn number 3 then. This is coming up the hill, turn 2, and this is going to be on the run then towards Remus Corner then. It's big hill, and it's a huge braking opportunity, a huge overtaking opportunity through the right-hander and the run down the hill towards through Schlossgold and then in towards Rausch. And again, with the way that the track sort of dips away here, this constant decline of the circuit as it goes down and down and down, through the left-hander there at Rausch, through into Vorth, this double left-hander again. You want to be nice and gentle when you're taking a little bit of curve on the right-hand side there. Too much, and you're going to dip a couple of toes into the gravel on the right-hand side there. But again, late on the brakes into Rindt. It's easy to go too far on that left-hand side before you're into the brakes in the Red Bull Mobile, and then through that final right-hander. A very short circuit. I mean, the cars and the drivers make it look so easy here, but again, I mean, that gap that's just coming down so quickly now. We're now up to 42 cars within a second here.
Yeah, I think that's what I love about the circuit. It's a very short lap, but sector 2 is so technical that you can lose so much time in that middle sector. So as much as these guys make it look insanely easy, they're so quick, they're so precise, they're so confident, we tend to forget just how technical that second sector is. And as we saw with Grantas Caracas there, you can kind of find your way, find the rhythm in those corners. You don't want to run too wide, but you also want to use and maximize the track width, use the curbs as you exit these corners. So it's a very technical lap, albeit very short, but that's what makes the circuit so interesting, and that's why we're seeing 42 cars within a second of each other.
It certainly is. And well, with 25 seconds left to go, I think track position and traffic has been a huge factor in this qualifying session. And again, I think a lot of drivers maybe feel like they've left stuff on the table, maybe felt like they could have got more out of this. But I'm not sure that it's finished just yet. A lot of cars just deciding to give up the ghost, as we're seeing David Pertil here. Ferrari seem to have a little bit of an upper hand just now. I saw the name on Jaroslav Honzik, aka Jardier's stream tonight, is Aston the new meta? Is that the new must-have car? And from what we're seeing, it's a bit of a mixed bag, because thinking back to last year and Valentin Barrier, you know, that Aston that he drove was absolutely phenomenal in race pace. We'd see him qualify just around about 10. In fact, where he is now, actually, around about that top 10, and then always fire it through into the top 5 through the course of the race here. So we'll keep an eye out on that. But quite a few Astons in the top 20, 5 of them, I believe, just now, as Luke Whitehead in second position, then George Boothby down in P3. So Luke Whitehead then jumps up into P2. He'll get another lap here. He is just coming across the line very shortly, but we're watching Amadeo Castorino, one of the final couple of corners, couple of cars even, comes across the line. Castorino cannot improve in position. You've got Marco Bischoff from Sprout Esports. Is going to be your last car to get a lap in here. We've got a car off in the background. That is going to be it. What can Bischoff do? And Bischoff jumps up 5 places in that final lap there. Great effort from Marco Bischoff, just outside the top 10 there. But my goodness me, that is a hell of a qualifying session there to Pello, with the fact that we have got 42 cars within a second of your pole-sitting car here. I mean, we said that there about how tight it's going to be, but oh man, I don't even know what is going to happen here. Are they going to behave?
Look, it seems like we're starting already on a bumper to bumper kind of vibe, you know? They're so close to each other. And what we saw, especially towards the middle, towards the end of season 2, is how well that these guys can follow each other. They can stay towards each other, and these groups that develop during the race, you know, they keep pace with each other. So the opening first, I don't know, I want to call 5 laps of this race tonight, it's going to be crucial. Finding your position. It's a huge grid. Traffic is going to be a problem. Turn 1 is going to be a major pinch point. So finding your space within that pack is going to be the biggest challenge for these drivers. Sometimes I'd even say starting in front is not even that much of a benefit in a race like this, because you might get your braking point correct, but the people behind you might not. So stress for all these drivers.
It absolutely is. I think it's going to be a very highly strung affair. I think we're going to have a lot of arguments coming out of the end of this first round of the championship. Remember, it's a 12-round championship. We saw just how much difference that one round can make to an entire championship, given that George Boothby had already won by the finish of by the start of that final round then. In the meantime, the cars are readying on the grid, so let's head down and get a run through the order then. On pole position, it's a welcome return then to that man there in the number 1, the Ferrari of Jack Alexander, alongside Luke Whitehead in the number 55 Porsche. Row 2 is going to be George Boothby alongside Mikhail Statsenko, so your Season 2 champion returns for Season 3. It's the battle of the Ferraris on Row 2. Row 3 is led up by Luke Harrison in the number 13 Ferrari, and that is going to be alongside Amadeo Castorino in the 23 Aston Martin. Row 4 is going to be David Pertil in the 21 Aston, alongside the 19 Ferrari of Grantas Caracas in 8th position. Row 5 then is the 78 BMW of Gert Fischer. He is lined up alongside Marco Lumi in the 201 Aston Martin. Then on row 6, it's going to be Marco Bischoff in the number 2 McLaren, the first of the McLarens in 11th position. 12th place for Philippe Minard in the 255 BMW. Tommy Rozier makes a welcome return to Season 3 in the number 29 McLaren. In 13th position, 14th position, Valentin Barrier. Mark my words, keep an eye on that number 72 Aston Martin. That will be making waves into the top 10 through the course of the race. Isaac Gillison in 15th position in the number 24 Ferrari is going to start alongside Cody Sherritt in the number 38 Ferrari. Then on row 9, it's Jardier, aka Jaroslav Honzik, making his first full season start here at Genisus Esports, and that is going to be in the 39 Aston Martin in 17th position. 18th position is going to be Maximilian Frank in the 310 Porsche. Then it's Noah Ader in the McLaren alongside Eric Muxka making his debut here in that 44th Ferrari. 21st position is Christian Duploy in the 213 BMW. He's going to be alongside Marco Schada in the 65 Honda, still keeping strong with that Honda. Sakari Lehtinen in the number 30 Honda is in 23rd position on row 12, and Alexander Nyatsin is going to be in the 838 McLaren in 24th position. Chris Warner in the 111 Aston Martin is in 25th, and alongside him on row 13 is Paul Nowski in the 500 McLaren, 26th position there. 27th is the first of the Lambos, the 163 of Finn Zimbel. And lining up alongside Florian Durkop makes a move over to the Honda in the number 63 in 28th position. Row 15 is going to be Max Meinke in the 218 Mercedes. I'm pretty sure that's the leading Mercedes just now. He is going to be alongside Dennis Vietshort. Again, another return for Season 3 in the 25 Honda. Jean Rochelle is in the 77 Ferrari in 31st position. Abe Santiba in 32nd. Then it's Tariq Adam in 33rd. Henry Meyer in 34th. Noel Hache in the 18 McLaren in 35th. Jimmy Holm in 36th. Then Dan Edwardson in 37th. Tobias Moberg in 38th. And then Samir Foch 39th. It's Christian Fenter in 40th position. Quan Duplessis in the 194 McLaren, 41st position. Fleming Bauer in 42nd, making his debut. Jonathan Clifford comes back to Season 3 in 43rd. 44th position, Skylar Lovering. 45th position at the back of the grid in the 76 Ferrari. Rounding out your 45 cars is going to be Luca Schumacher. Apologies for having to get rushed round the tail end of that field, but my God, I was running out of breath there. And Tapello, I mean, look, I know obviously towards the end of the season we always whittle down the order and there's always less cars than we start with, but God damn if that isn't an exciting way to start a season.
We were just checking if you'd make it to the end. I had my fingers crossed. Christie's going to make it. Christie's going to make it. But yeah, it's so amazing to see just how much support has increased for this championship. The viewership is great. The participants are great. Such a huge grid. Yes, it makes it difficult for us as the commentary team, but that's also why I love it. The challenge of trying to get everything right, give everyone the action that they deserve, try and talk everything through. So, huge grid. Yes, we will lose some guys, but I also think the benefit is with this big grid, we don't lose that many people, so we still retain a large bulk of these drivers. So that will be interesting to see how the season develops. I'm excited. I'm genuinely excited for this season.
Me too indeed. Just a couple of corners left to go then as we're coming through Rinse for the first time. It's going to be Ferrari and the Porsche leading things off here on the Genesis Extreme Championship Season 3. Jack Alexander on pole, Luke Whitehead in second position. 45 cars. This is going to be amazing stuff here. 60-minute race, a mandatory pit stop. Take a breath. Take a drink of water, take whatever you need, because this is going to get very, very hectic indeed. That is a glorious, glorious sign here at Red Bull Ring. 2.68 miles, and we go green flag racing then. Great start from Luke Addison as well as George Boothby just behind. They all go into turn number 1, and that is going to be Luke Whitehead up into the lead of the race. We've got cars going wide at the background here. Now, what can that Ferrari of Jack Alexander do? As you've got Boothby, Stasenko, all in the mix here in that top 10 just now, but again, it's all the case of the cars just calming themselves down there. It's got a little bit of contact there as Castorino gets dumped down a couple of positions as well, as you've got a car off in the background. It's Melee, it's Marco Bischoff there down to the back of the grid. You've also got Marco Lomi caught up in there. You've also got a huge fight for third position. Boothby, Stasenko and Castorino all fighting out here as they go side by side through Schlossgold, and that is Mikhail Stasenko. That was a huge hit there, Tapello.
Yeah, we're seeing action everywhere, and I see there's already a drive-through penalty for Gillison. So already what we're talking about, such a huge grid, there's bound to be contact, that you're gonna struggle to find space in this melee of cars. So again, if you can make it out the first 2 laps, survive this difficult period in a race, that's how you set yourself up. But we're already seeing how difficult it is for these drivers with such a huge grid.
I think that might have been Grantis Caracas there that got a little bit of a shoulder check coming out of Schlossgold. But either way, all the cars make their way across the line to start lap number 2 of this race. And just like that, the chaos continues. You've got the BMW just behind there of Philippe Minard trying to have a look. This is Geert Fischer that we're having a look on. There is Noah Eder going very, very, very wide round Nicky Lauda. Curve there, gets away with it. And just behind him, I believe that is going to be Cody Sherritt fighting out with Jaroslav Honzig. Honzig on the inside, but losing out of position to that Ferrari. So Jaroslav down into P15 just now. Meanwhile, your 2 race leaders, Luke Whitehead and Jack Alexander, already nearly 2 seconds ahead of Mikhail Statsenko. They are absolutely away with it right now as Barrier trying to fight again for position, takes that away from Cody Sherritt, so that moves him back up into P13 right now. Great move there, and Sherritt caught a little bit unawares there.
Yeah, most definitely. We're seeing the confidence in Valentin Barrier already this season. We've spoken about the race pace of that Aston Martin and just how confident Valentin Barrier is in that car. That's why they didn't change the car for this new season. So for sure, they will be one of the drivers to watch, just how they develop in a race. We know just how good they can be as the race wears on. But surprising to see the gap. Luke Whitehead and Jack Alexander already asserting their dominance on this field, opening a gap and saying they will fight amongst themselves. So that will be interesting. I'm always interested to see how the pit stops will work out in a grid like this, but we'll wait and see. But it's going to be very, very interesting how these guys can maintain their pace and use the pit stops to their advantage.
Yeah, I think track limits is going to be something that we're going to have to keep an eye on as well, especially coming through that first couple of corners there, as we see Jack Alexander onto the tail end of Luke Whitehead. Fastest man on the track though, Mikhail Statsenko, was bringing that gap down by about a tenth of a second a lap, but has actually opened that out now. So Statsenko in 3rd position. I don't think this is going to be enough to gap the rest of the cars, as we see Geert Fischer here making his way along as they come down towards Remus for the 3rd time of asking. As Geert Fischer has Philippe Minard up, that's David Pertil up on the inside there. Minard is just behind them. So this is some BMW on Aston Martin action, but the BMW holds on to that position, and Geert Fischer then moves up into P8 as we go for a replay then of that lap 1. This is going into turn number 2, and that is going to be a big bit of avoidant action there. That is going to be the number 31 there, number 39, excuse me, just managing to avoid all of that melee, all that chaos. That was of course Jaroslav Honzig threading the eye of the needle there. But either way, we go across the line, start lap number 4. And again, it's like you were saying there, Tapello, it's all about just sort of calming down and getting into a rhythm as quickly as you possibly can here.
And unfortunately, in a race like this, you want the race to kind of settle down, within the first 3-4 laps. But unfortunately, everyone is trying to find their own place on the circuit, their own position. So it's not settling down in the way that the later races will, where people are more confident in where they stack up. As we see 3 cars going abreast, there's a bit of contact, but that's okay. Down into the brakes, very, very confident. Will he split the middle? These are such tense moments when people are going into the braking zone with 2 cars side by side, 3 cars side by side. I always tend to clinch myself because I know all it takes is someone missing their braking zone by a meter, and then it's contact down the inside. The McLarens are looking very well. We saw this with the McLarens as well. They look very stable under braking, and I think that's why you see a lot of drivers tend to go for the McLaren. It's an all-around stable car, and they can use that to their advantage and just try and drive around some of the issues that it might have. But it's a very, very stable car to have.
Heavy shoulders that we saw there from Florian Durkop there, just nudging, and I do mean just nudging, Tariq Adam out of the way. Tariq Adam now having to fight as a lame duck because that is Sakari Lettinen just behind, trying to hold on to that. I think Tariq might have went a little bit too deep into Rindt there. That's going to leave them vulnerable. That's going to allow Florian Durkop to head out into the rest of the race here. So you can see there already a bit of a gap there. That is going to be Moberg. Here comes Noel Hatchie onto the back of Sakari Lehtinen as well, coming up into turn number 1. And that Honda is surely going to have to almost give up the place there, but Hachi clips the curb on the inside and loses a little bit of time. Meanwhile, your race leader then, opening up that gap then, 1.9 seconds, so it is nearly 2 seconds back from Luke Whitehead to Mikhail Statsenko just now. And this could be absolutely huge for the championship, as we see Valentin Barrier there. I was expecting to see that Aston making some big moves up through the order, but it's not quite happened just now. Fighting with Cody Sherritt. It was a great move around the outside of Schlossgold there. The Aston Martin trying to hold on. He'll have the inside line then coming through into Roush. And unfortunately, there was never going to be any way through there for Cody Sherritt to hold on to that. That was always going to be very unfortunate. Just behind, you can see Jardier in the number 39 car. He's trying to make his way through as well, also in an Aston Martin. But as it stands at the moment, this is developing very nicely. Now, what I have just noticed is that Mikhail Statsenko has brought that gap down to a second. Okay, that's huge, because that now means that Mikhail Statsenko, it's now 1.5 seconds to the race leader here, and that's come down by about 0.4 of a second. So what on earth has happened to Luke Whitehead on that last lap there?
Yeah, probably something we will see, but very interesting. So it's showing that Statsenko is still within a very decent shout for that race win. Not far to be ignored, close enough to be a competition and a rival. So I'm loving this already. We're starting to see, we haven't seen the big breakout groups this far, but we're already seeing some battles, some cars sticking together to try and find and maintain pace with each other. So already this race, 9 minutes in, and we're already seeing a very competitive edge to how these drivers want to take this season.
Yeah, we saw this last season as well, Tapello, from the opening couple of rounds. The aggression was absolutely off the chart, and I remembered us getting to this point last year, a couple of rounds in, we're like, somebody's going to have a little chat with some of the drivers there, as Max Meinke has a snap at oversteer there coming through Roush, and you saw the car getting very nervous and twitchy indeed, losing a position there with the Ferrari of Muxka, and there is Nowski as well going through, and possibly even that's going to be Felix Zimbel in that 163 Lamborghini. Can't quite take that opportunity that's in front of him, but he did very eagerly want that to happen. Right, the gap to the leads has kind of evened out again. That's back up to 1.7. So I've got no idea what has happened with that swings and roundabouts there for the likes of Mikhail Statsenko, but he is pushing. He is still charging and trying to catch up with those leading two cars. You can see here, Mikhail Statsenko is the front two going into turn number 3, as we've got a yellow flag. Then that is going to be the 218 car that brings out that yellow flag, and that looks like halfway through. So that's Max Meinke, and we saw that that Mercedes involved a little bit of traffic earlier on, a little bit of a tussle, and I think he's been possibly either made a mistake or clipped himself round here.
Yeah, I think we've just seen him, Max Meinke, get that snap of oversteer on the car. So it looked like they weren't really confident in how they were going, because they were under pressure from other car. So maybe that might still be the issue, trying to figure out how to get that Mercedes through these quick corners and just how to handle that rear that seems to be overreactive at the moment. But in saying that, a bit of a nudge there on the McLaren, but they're holding firm. Still looking very interesting. So we have a gaggle of McLarens and Hondas currently sat together. I love this part of the race where you're not sure if it's settling down, or you feel like something is about to happen, there's a big overtake, a big incident coming. It just keeps you on the edge of your seat. But so far so good for a lot of these drivers. Gaps are developing really well. We're seeing close competition. Is that a bit of a bump draft? I think I saw a bit of a bump draft already this season. So yeah, we're seeing all the chicks of sim racing coming to the fore tonight.
Yeah, that was a fantastic little fight we were seeing there. It was just starting to open up there. It's Jimmy Holm, the homing missile. Great to see him making his return here to the championship. Up the inside of Noel Hatchie, tries to get that position done, but it's not going to work out. And Jan Ruchel is possibly going to try and go around the outside into turn 3. We also saw the likes of the number 33 car there, it was 33rd car there rather. That was the 838 that we were watching. That was Alexander Naisitsin in that the Ukraine Cossacks racing car. He is absolutely going for it right now in a melee with around about 5 to 6 different drivers all fighting, and that's for what P31 that they're all fighting for just now, as Jimmy homing missile down here in 28th and 29th and 30th position. That's what they're fighting for just now. But again, all of these are very, very important positions for these drivers here. They all mean something through the course of the season, which is awesome stuff to see. 48 minutes left to go in the race here. So the pit stop window, that's Duplessis spins around at the left-hander there at Roush, collects another car there. I think that might have been, was that Max Meineke getting caught up again? It was Samir Fortune, the prancing donkey, and I think it's safe to say Taps, he's going to feel like a bit of a donkey there.
Yeah, unfortunately, they were just a passenger to that incident. Nothing they could be getting tapped on the rear wheel. That will send your car around. Another bomb drop that we're seeing. So yeah, all the tips and tricks coming out, but such an unfortunate incident there for Samir Forge. That can kill a race, but sometimes, very early in the season, you just need to put your head down, try and bounce back. There's a big grid, everyone's still bunched up, so you can still try and make some positions back. 47 minutes to go in this race. It's not over yet. You can still make positions, and again, it's about learning that racecraft, seeing how these other drivers, we have a lot of new drivers already this season, so just see how these other drivers go about their driving, how they race, so you can learn even in the situations where it goes wrong. Grantis Caracas sitting in P7, kind of similar to how they started the season last season, a kind of mid top 10, kind of 7th, 8th, but we know that they can pick up the pace and they can be a threat towards the front. So kind of the delayed start from Grantis Caracas. I will be interested to see how they pick up as the season goes on, because towards the end, there's an overtake for the lead. I think something happened. The Porsche of Luke Whitehead just looked to have no pace going into the braking. It looked like they braked early for some reason, but whatever's happening, it's already happened, and Jack Alexander is comfortably leading the race this far, and that brings Tetsenko as well into the top 2 battle, as they will see an opportunity. So let us see what Luke Whitehead will do in response to that overtake, because my oh my, already we are seeing a top 2 battle that might be for the ages going forward.
We'll see if that Porsche wants to try and take that position. Now, I do wonder if this is a strategy thing here from Luke Whitehead. We'll have a look at the quick replay here. So this is coming along the start-finish straight here. And you can see trying to defend there. A little bit of contact there between the two of them. And Whitehead just breaks completely out of it. The thing for me as well is Whitehead won't be too unhappy at being able to take the slipstream of Jack Alexander. But the issue with it now is it's a proper race, because you've got Statsenko. Statsenko's going to try and get his oar in, and you've got to believe now that Luke Harrison and George Boothby are likely going to get brought into this as well, because they will start fighting. Boothby's already just taken the fastest lap of the race there, 127.9. So again, it's all to play for right now at this early stage of the race here, as we see Isaac Gillison fighting with the 42nd place car and taking that position there from Fleming Bauer, as we see George Boothby making a move up through the inside on Luke Atson. To be honest, that move already looked like it was done and dusted as we went on into the corner. But have a look at Castorino. Amadeo Castorino wants to try and do the pair of them here, and that is going to be nowhere to go for Luke Addison. You're kidding me. Has that Aston just tried to go around the outside of the corner there? And he's going to do it, if it wasn't for running out of that road. He manages to get in just ahead of Luke Addison. Addison's going to feel very, very aggrieved there. But here we go down into Schlossgold then for the 11th time of asking, as Luke Addison going to try and go around the outside. You've got Grantis Caracas is also trying to make a move up through the field then. This is the fight for 5th, 6th and 7th position. Up the inside goes that Genesis Esports car of Luke Addison. So it's as you were then. Caracas back down into P7. Addison still in that P6. He does want to try and take that position back. Find very, very hard with Castellino, but he compromises his exit out of work here. Caracas has a little bit of a sniff there. He does have the overlap, and there goes Addison. Snips out there, late onto the brakes there. But Castellino even later onto the brakes. This is dicing with death here right now. 43 minutes left to go. Caracas is going to have the run out of that final corner here, and the two of them now dropping even further back from Amtel Castellino here. This is wild action here, and you get the feeling that, you know, they need to kind of just knuckle down and actually get on with it. But here is Mikhail Statsenko. This is for P2 in the race just now. They're coming up to Remus. Is that going to be a move from Statsenko? No, he just holds behind that Porsche. So again, that Porsche has lost so much time here to Jack Alexander, because remember, it was only about 2-3 tenths of a second, and Taps, I don't even know what to say about what the hell is going on here for this battle for 5th position here.
I'll tell you what's happening. Everything is happening in this battle. There was almost contact. You see what I'm talking about? There's a bit of a nudge towards the back there, but Grantis Caracas making full advantage of this battle, sitting in P5, trying to defend diligently against the likes of Fisher, and it's so difficult. It's so difficult in this kind of situation, but you just need to survive. They kind of need a lap to settle, and unfortunately they're not allowing each other that time to settle and just find their rhythm. Everyone is going for it because it's there for the taking, so why not? We're seeing, and what I love, it's different cars. We have a Ferrari, we have an Aston Martin within this group, we have BMWs, just showing how close these cars are, that they can battle consecutive corners around the full lap, and it's just ever-changing position. So these drivers are feeling confident. Already we're seeing them taking the risk, diving down the inside, braking late, accelerating early. This is what racing is all about.
Absolutely is, as we've got our first penalties of the brand new season in already. You can see there at the top left, Mikhail Statsenko is a 10-second penalty, so does Valentin Barrier. We'll bring news of that as soon as we get the graphics up on screen, but both of those cars being hit with a 10-second penalty. That will of course be served during their pit stop, so that will be a huge blow to Statsenko and to Barrier, but you know, make no mistake, they have been able to come back from worse. Let's double check then. So incident involving cars 72 and 144, that is a 10-second penalty for the 72, but that incident also involved the 144, so that was a three-way fight between Statsenko, Boothby and Valentin Barrier. So I mean, that is you know, a crazy incident there, and then there was a second incident involving the 144, and that was between then the 144 and the 800. So again, that was the one between our third place car and Statsenko and with Boothby. But then Statsenko was also involved with an incident with the number 72 as well, causing them to drop quite a way down the order there. So it just shows you, and again we're having more penalties coming in thick and fast here just now. So you know, everybody is at risk of this, and we saw this last season as well here, Taps, is that, you know, nobody is safe from the stewards.
Yeah, and the stewards tend to do this really well. You know, the stewards will catch flack, obviously, from aggrieved parties, but they're so good at finding these penalties, monitoring the races. So it's never over when the stewards are keeping an eye out on the race. And as you've mentioned, track limits might be an issue. So I'm kind of nervous heading into the last 40 minutes of this race that we might see other penalties for track limit violations. So that is something to be wary of and keep an eye out for as the pit window finally opens. 20 minutes to take your mandatory pit stop. Again, clean slate, blank. No one knows which strategy is best, to go long in the first stint, shorter second stint. It's really a gamble at this point, but these drivers, they do so much work in preparing for these races. It's sort of like they have a cheat code book already sitting in their laps on what to do and which strategy to take. So I'm always interested to see who blinks first, takes that first pit stop, and just puts pressure on everyone else.
So Boothby then on the back of Mikhail Statsenko and Luke Whitehead, and to be honest here, that Porsche seems to be the slower one out of the two cars here. So we've got a yellow flag later on. That is going to be down towards the back of the field. I believe that might have been Samir Foch again. No, it's not. It's the 838 there of Alexander Nyatsitsin, and that is going to be down to the back of the grid. Cody Sherritt is one of the first cars into pit lane, as they've got 20 minutes to serve their mandatory pit stop. Philip Bernard has a little bit of a wobble there going into turn number 1. He manages to recover himself, as well as the 213 of Florian Durkop gets his way up, so does Christian Deploy, and that track looking very, very shiny indeed. But these dry conditions, I don't know about you actually, it does look a tiny little bit overcast here today.
Yeah, I thought something was going to happen. I started to pick it up. I saw the conditions change a bit the deeper we went into the race. So it is overcast, but that might also be to the benefit of these drivers. Cooler conditions, less pressure on the tires, so they might be looking to go a bit longer in this stint. But already we're seeing a lot of drivers looking comfortable at this phase of the race, but we know how that can change with the pit stops and just how about maximizing on the new tires after that. And we see race control incident involving car 23 and car 19, a 5-second time penalty for car 23. So that is a 5-second penalty for Castorino. So that is something they will have to consider as they take their mandatory pit stop. 5 seconds, not terrible, could be worse, but it is definitely something to consider in terms of how this race will play out. On board with Mikhail Statsenko, still putting a lot of pressure on Luke Whitehead in that Porsche. Kind of having a terrible run of laps for Luke Whitehead right now, David. The Porsche seemingly off pace with the other cars around him. The Ferraris look stronger at this phase of the race. So I'm very, very interested to kind of find out and suss out what the issue is with the Porsche.
I'd be as well, because that pace has absolutely dropped off with that Porsche, and it is kind of backing the cars behind it. I mean, it's not huge. I mean, it's enough to put them down around about sort of P4, P5, but certainly I think it's as much that as the Ferraris really coming into their own in this race pace here. Jack Alexander doing a 1:27.8 last time by, but George Boothby still the fastest lap of the race so far. His last lap by, though, was a 1:28.1, so it wasn't quite fast enough to stay onto the back of our top two just now. But in the meantime, Jaroslav Honzig in 13th position is chasing down Tommy Rozier. Philippe Minard for Low Fuel Motorsport jumps into pit lane in the 255 car. Again, with 60 minutes left to go to take the pit stops, it does allow everyone to have quite a lot of flexibility in terms of their strategy, in terms of what they want to do with their pit stops and when they want to do it. Here is the Honda, though, of that was Sakari Lehtinen, just coming through turn number 2. As we move to another Honda there of Florian Durkop, and the pit stops still filtering way through. That gap to your race leader and Jack Whitehead is now, the 55 car, excuse me, of Luke Whitehead and Jack Alexander, 3.5 seconds now here, Taps. It's consistently 1/2 of a second faster for your race leader in that Ferrari over second place here.
Yeah, and it's slightly puzzling, right? Especially when you look at how the race started. Luke Whitehead in the Porsche had a brilliant start, kind of looked to have the pace measured in the beginning, but we kind of saw that bad run and they slowed down as we see George Boothby taking the gamble at heading down the pit lane. So kind of one of the first of the front runners to put pressure and kind of get everyone to react and see what they do, as we see Fisher following in, Valentin Berry as well, taking their mandatory pit stop early. So we're seeing now strategy starting to come into play. But just again on Luke Whitehead, the Porsche just seemingly, look, again, 210s doesn't sound like much, but when you're in competition with cars that are moving significantly 210s, 310s faster than you every lap, they start to count. 5 laps, it's a second, so it's a very tricky situation to be in, and I'm really kind of apprehensive for the chances of Luke Whitehead, just to see there's still a long way to go in this race, 34 minutes, and if you have that kind of deficit in pace, you are definitely going to suffer in the last 10-15 minutes of this race.
Tell you what I'm apprehensive about is the fact that our race leader is catching on to the back of Tariq Adam. Tariq Adam about to get put a lap down very, very shortly. Bear in mind that they have just come out of the pits. Finn Zimble as well, going to be the first of two cars. Here is Booby himself, George Boothby for Veloci, coming out of pit lane. And well, yeah, that's not the greatest start to the season. That's going to be a drive-through penalty for George Boothby, and I'm going to presume that's going to be either speeding in pit lane or for exiting the pits incorrectly. We'll wait and see. But either way, George Boothby hasn't. That's one to forget. Good job that there's a drop round in this championship here, Taps.
So 2 drops we're hearing in our ears, ladies and gentlemen. So yeah, that's a terrible one. Kind of a very unfortunate penalty to get, as we see Sakari Lehtinen in the Honda and Mikhail Stutsenko taking their pit stops. As we know, they do have a 10-second penalty to serve. So hopefully the advantage being George Boothby with the drive-through penalty is just less pressure on Stutsenko now, even though they have to serve their penalty. Let's see with George Boothby. I think he's in the pit, so I'm not sure if he's retiring or serving the drive-through. We'll just see how that turns up as we carry on into this race. But very, very critical moments for the cars that are working their way around the circuit and trying to get that strategy to work for them. Very interesting point. Currently, as we see, Castorino sitting in 4th place. We're still with the 5-second penalty to serve in their pit stop, but good position, terrible position, we won't know until that pit stop is served, David. But very, very interesting period in the race.
For me, I think that's a huge boost for George Boothby, given the fact that Luke Whitehead was definitely holding them up, and I think that Boothby might be able to do the jump here with the overcut, or sorry, the undercut, as your race leader comes into pit lane. It's a driver we've not really spoken too much about today, Jack Alexander. Safe to say he had a very, very difficult season too, maybe letting his frustration getting the better of him. And you know, he's taken his beating. He's come back here for season 3, and to be fair, he's thrown down the gauntlet right now. That was a 4-second lead that he had over Luke Whitehead half an hour ago. I am fascinated to see how this all pans out. 11 minutes to go for the drivers to be able to take their pit stop. With George Boothby still in the pit lane, so I believe that George Boothby is going to have returned to the race. So the big undercut, that's definitely not going to work. But I think this might work out for those chasing cars just now. I think that Luke Whitehead will be able to get jumped potentially by Mikhail Stutsenko. In fact, actually, Luke Addison is the fastest one out of pit lane right now. So it looks like
and how much pressure does that relieve on the guys running in front? You know, the Jack Alexanders, the Luke Whiteheads, that the 2-time champion, the 2-time defending champion, George Boothby, has just retired from this race. Kind of, it takes a bit of a load off your shoulders. You can't relax because there's a lot of other drivers who are looking to win this race, but one of the strongest contenders has retired from the race, so that is a load off. But that doesn't matter. There's still a lot happening on track. There's still 30 minutes of this race. You still need to maintain your pace, put your head down, put in the work, try and get those fast laps. And as we see a lot of other cars taking to the pits now, Luke Whitehead, Grantis Caracas, Tommy Rezier, Honzig, they're taking their mandatory pit stops at this phase of the race. So we will see a bit of shake-up in the positions, but this is very, very interesting to see who can maximize on this period of the race.
Noel Hatchey has got a drive-through penalty as well. He's just popped into to pit lane to serve that just now. Let's have a look at where these cars are going to come out. We've got 3 in the pit lane just now. You've got Santima Adverton and Dennis Vietschork as well. Sorry, excuse me, that's the 310 of Frank that is into pit lane as well. There's quite a few in the top 10 that are in there. But at the moment, I think it's obviously Jack Alexander, and for the looks of it, Luke Addison could be into second place. We'll wait and see, because there's quite a few cars coming out here. This is going to be the Porsche of Luke Whitehead. So Luke Whitehead does keep the position on track there. I'm a little bit surprised at that. I was honestly expecting Luke Addison to be a little bit further down, but if I'm honest, that gap is absolutely spread out. And to be quite honest with you, Jack Alexander now absolutely away with this.
Looking comfortable, but as we've seen in racing, stranger things can happen. Things change in the last 10-15 minutes, and how often did that happen last season, David, where we called the race, we thought it would settle down, and everything just ramps up in the closing stages. So I think we might have a bit of chance to hold our breath, because these things tend to happen, these races do come alive. But so far so good for Jack Alexander, looking comfortable with their gap. The pit stop worked out really well for them. As we see, race control incident involving car 213 and car 500, 10 seconds penalty for car 500 for causing a collision. Again, thank you to the stewards for the impressive work that they do throughout the season, keeping an eye out and making sure that everyone is obeying to the rules and driving fairly. So thank you, stewards, once again. As we see these races develop, they're doing a major job, and credit to them.
Yeah, really is. And obviously that is the 213 there. That is going to be Christian Duploy that was involved with that, and the 500. I'm trying to get an idea on what car that was, because I can't see a 500. So maybe I'm not looking properly. But
it's Noski.
Noski
currently in P8 in the pits as well.
That would make sense why I couldn't ID that car, Paul Nowski. Either way, though, half an hour left to go, 7 minutes left to go in the pit stop strategy here. I mean, look, for me, Jack Alexander, he's not getting caught by Luke Whitehead. Grantis Caracas should have the pace to do it, but he's not got the track position to actually put this through just now. This is a great start for Jack Alexander after a very difficult season 2.
Sometimes that's all you can ask for, right? That's all you can ask for. Have a strong first race, decent finish. If you win, you win, and that just sets your confidence up to a certain limit. But as we see currently on screen, we're seeing a strong battle between David Pertil and Luke Addison, fighting for position, and as we ride on board with Cody Sharrett, putting a lot of pressure on Philip Menard, Ferrari versus BMW at this phase of the race. So we are starting to see cars coming together, fighting for the same piece of tarmac. I think that Cody Sharrett lost a bit of time exiting that one. I did think I saw the rear step out a bit, so trying to control that. They did lose some time, but onwards we go. Racing is racing.
That certainly is, and that is exactly what we are here for every single step of the way. David Pertil, though, fastest lap of the race. That's a nice little bonus to have, as, you hate to see it, a drive-through penalty for the 111 there. So that is going to be pretty much game over for the car of Chris Warner in the Aston Martin. That is like a death sentence at this late stage of the race. It's not too bad if you do it through the first part, but at this point, it is it's a brutal hit to take. Cody Sherritt, though, we're watching in between this fight for 10th position. Dale Castorino in front, the 23 Aston Martin. He's got Tommy Rozier just behind in the number 29 McLaren. Now, one of the things that I've noticed as well, obviously, that we've not talked about yet here, Tap, since the new update came out with the Nordschleife, is obviously a brand new update to the balance of performance, a brand new shift and change in terms of the cars, in terms of the power performance, and of course we then go onto the balance of performance that the LFM uses, because of course this is a series that mirrors the Low Fuel Motorsport Pro series, and a lot of the drivers very keen to get that practice in.
Yeah, as we spoke about, it's all about improvement, and the drivers do a lot of work in trying to get their strategies correct, trying to understand where the balance of performance hampers them or where it works in their favor. And again, every time you say Nordschleife, I giggle like a child. The enemy is so happy. I love that circuit so much. I'm really looking forward to the Nordschleife at the last round of the season. But yes, these drivers, and look, it's the first race of the season, and this is really where you want to kind of figure it out, right? In the early stages, where are you strong, where are you lacking, what are the strengths of your car based on the balance of performance. And we kind of pick it up throughout the season, right? We'll start to see a circuit where Ferrari is looking stronger, a circuit that's a McLaren circuit. You know, it chops and changes, but sometimes you will find there is a car that is generally kind of consistent throughout the season. So that is something that the drivers will be eager to find out as the season gets well underway. Like I said, round one, that's one of the main things to figure out if you're a driver. Just where are you lacking and where are you confident? But as we see Jack Alexander looking very, very comfortable in P1, kind of one of those no-nonsense drives from a race leader, if you get what I'm saying. We see this a lot sometimes in racing where the race leader just drives and drives and drives, and their pace is so impeccable that you cannot really fault them for their effort and just their performance.
It's been a flawless drive so far for absolute sure on that one. Jack Alexander, though, that's I guess a sign of the times. That was the number 2 of Marco Bischoff getting put a lap down. So it's been a pretty horrendous start to the season for the McLaren driver. As we cut back to Grantis Caracas in the Ferrari, just onto the tail end of Luke Whitehead. Now that gap was 2 seconds, it's now down to 0.7 of a second. That Porsche just does not seem to have the pace today. It's already, consistently seems to be about what's 2, 3, 4 of a second down on the pace. But Grantis Caracas, let's not take anything away from that Ferrari driver right now. 1:27.4 was their last time by, so the Porsche maybe just not able to cut the mustard in terms of pace right now, but the Ferrari is absolutely on it, as we all have Florian Durkop into the pits as well. But either way, cracking race so far. A brilliant start to the season. Of course, looking ahead to the rest of the calendar, we've got Imola next week, we've got Suzuka for round 3. That's going to be our first 90-minute race. So the 90-minute races obviously adds up a little bit of difference in terms of spice. You've got 90 minutes of Mount Panorama, 90 minutes of Monza, and then 90 minutes of Nordschleife. I am absolutely here for that.
I said already, every time you say Nordschleife, I giggle inside. But yes, those 90-minute races will be interesting, especially at a high degradation circuit like Suzuka, at a high-speed circuit like Monza. Love those circuits, right? The traditional racing circuits, all with their own character, all with their own flair. Lovely racing to see. But as we see, it seems like Statsenko serving the penalty was disastrous. They lost a lot of position in the exchanges of the pit stops, and it looks like they're one of the biggest losers from the pit stops, and one of the biggest gainers from the pit stop period is Grantis Caracas, who is currently in P3 and putting a lot of pressure on Luke Whitehead. It's that phase of the race that Grantis Caracas comes alive, puts pressure on the guys in front, and yeah, it is a terrible sight to see for Luke Whitehead and that number 55 Porsche.
I hate to say it, I really do hate to say it, because I was getting all excited thinking, Statsenko could have a chance with the pace that he's got, completely forgetting about that 10-second penalty that he had here. But what a race, what a debut there for the 163 car there, just up in 19th position, Finn Zimble doing a glorious job on his debut with the championship here ahead of Tariq Adam. You've then also got the 500 McLaren of Paul Nowski and Abe Santima all behind, so cars that we know are fast, drivers that we know are very fast here, and that Lambo doing a grand job of holding their own in 19th position as another drive-through penalty there in the 201. I get the feeling that's going to be for track limits this time for the P31 car of Marco Lomi.
Yeah, definitely with Zimble looking comfortable in their current position, but we'll get back to that as we see Castorino currently trying to get a move done on Philip Menard. Do they outbreak them? Brilliantly done. Well driven. That is how you break into the inside of a corner. Well done, sir. That is brilliant racing. A well-measured move. Confident on the brakes. Positioning the car really well. No contact, just straight through down the inside. That's what I'd love to see. But yes, most definitely, as we know, Philip Menard will be looking to attack once again and try and respond, but so far Castorino looking confident in that Aston Martin, and as we heard at the top of the broadcast with David Christie, the Aston Martin seem to have strong race pace.
Big send up the inside there as Nowski tries to go around the outside there. That was very, very brave from the McLaren. Couldn't quite happen. Tariq Adam still in that 20th position. The McLaren looks one way, then the other. Can't get the run, can't get the cut back out. Schlossgold down into Roush then for the next lap that we're on here. And unbelievably, we've got 20 minutes left to go as there goes Grantis Caracas onto the back of Luke Whitehead. We have got a fight then for second position here. That Porsche has been a flailing animal through the course of the race, and I say that is massively overselling it, because these two are already 2.5 seconds ahead of David Pertil in the Aston Martin in 4th position there. So it's not, you know, I'm making it sound like that Porsche is an absolute tank to drive around, and really it's not as fast as Jack Alexander, but it's still able to hold Grantis Caracas at bay quite comfortably here.
And such is the talent of Luke Whitehead, to be driving a car that we're seeing is consistently slower, but make it so difficult to get overtaken, as we see once again with Castorino. Again, I said, last 20 minutes we will be seeing these challenges. We will see drivers trying to get the best possible result at the end, but I did not think we'd be seeing it as beautifully driven as this Castorino and Philip Menard, just putting each other on edge, but they're also driving so cleanly, giving each other the space. Pardon me, that's how first, ladies and gentlemen. We're seeing the beautiful driving, no contact, side by side throughout these corners. Guys, please don't embarrass me, curse of the commentator, just keep it clean while I talk. But yes, brilliant racing, side by side. Oh, as we see the elbows pushed out, the Aston Martin of Castorino just pushed a tad wide there, but no contact, fair as fair can be in such a race, David.
Brilliant stuff. Really enjoying this right now, as that's going to be a move back up on the inside. Is it from Castorino? A little bit of nerves there from Geir Fisher, trying to be very cautious there. That's now going to allow Philippe Menard to get the run. But look at Corey Sherritt in the background as well, and Tommy Rozier. This has now gone from a two-car fight to a 3-car fight to a 5-car fight. Up the inside goes Castorino, and it is absolutely gingerly for all of the cars around. But Geir Fisher, absolute credit to them right now, keeps the boot in, keeps that position, and it's as you were, despite that looking like a 5-car melee into the corner there. It's going to be Geir Fisher from Castorino, from Philippe Menard, Corey Sherritt and Tommy Rozier, but just behind them as well, Jaroslav Honzig eager to get into the top 10 there. Mikhail Statsenko in P12, and then Murska in 13th position here. Your lead gap though has got up to 5.2 seconds, and we've got just over a quarter of an hour left to go here.
Yeah, look, we've spoken about these drivers and the confidence that they show. I don't want to lie, if I am in a 5-car battle, I would be shaking. I would be shaking, ladies and gentlemen, trying to keep your cool in such instances of pressure, as we ride on board with Tommy Rozier, looking eagerly for Cody Sherritt to make a mistake or just miss an apex. But they are also close enough to the battle of Philip Menard, Castorino and Fisher, as we see Castorino trying to go up the inside. Will they have the space? No, they're not close enough, but they seem to have gotten a good exit out of turn 1, so it will be a straight drag race down into turn 3. So far so good for Fisher, holding on to that line, but Castorino will be looking down the inside. But as we say, that Philip Menard also looking dangerous and ominous there in the background. Down the inside goes Castorino, but holding on is Fisher, really driving that BMW very well. Good traction out of the corners, and I think it is that traction out of the corners that's allowing them to defend so well, because they are getting fantastic exits out of these corners, David.
We've got a yellow flag, and I do believe we've had another retirement. That is going to be the number 500 car of Nowski, who has thrown in the towel. We saw Paul Nowski getting a drive-through penalty, presumably for track limits, and that is going to be that driver's day done and dusted. Castorino though fighting with all sorts of oversteer coming on the exit of Roush through into Worth. Then this is on the straight down towards Rins Corner. A sharp right-hander here, as we've got just 50 minutes left to go. To the inside then, cuts it, doesn't quite make it through. Late on the brakes though, they're going to be side by side down into Red Mobile. This is going to be the final corner. Castorino has done it, but does that BMW have the run? It did have the grunt. They're going to be side by side. There is the slightest overlap here. and he's going to have to be very, very careful. And here comes Philippe Minard as well, as Castorino sent it up the inside, and that leaves him very, very vulnerable for this long straight. Here comes Cody Sherritt then, side by side with Philippe Minard as well. You've also got Tommy Rozier, he fancies having a go as well here. This is absolute chaos coming in to the final 15 minutes. We've got 3 wide, almost 4 wide. Jaroslav Hontik in the background as well. Castorino sweeps round the outside, beautiful manoeuvre there to take 6th position, and that is going to be out to the outside goes Cody Sherritt, so does Philippe Minard. He's caught up in all of this. Jaroslav Hontik up into P11 also, as we've got a 5-car battle going down into Schlossgold. Around the outside goes the BMW, goes the Aston Martin. Jaroslav Hontik can't quite get that done. You've got Cody Sherritt on the inside there. This is madness there, a little bit of a kiss there. That Ferrari was always going to be in there. And see, Aston Martin tries to just ease off the brakes and pull that car around. I get the feeling that that might be job done. And that is going to be a position up for Jaroslav Hontik, P11. Oh my goodness me, this is starting to get a little bit tasty here.
Yeah, how much action do you want? All of it. Give me all the action, give me all the overtakes, give me all the pressure. Ladies and gentlemen, as we have a replay coming up just now, let's see it play. But yeah, what a period in this race. So we didn't see this on stream as we were watching live, but it is Grantis Garakis overtaking Luke Whitehead. We have seen it kind of developing for a while, and we've spoken about just how well Luke Whitehead was driving that Porsche just to defend, but unfortunately you cannot defend too long, especially when Grantis Garakis is in the ascendancy and they smell an overtake coming along. So, well done, Luke Whitehead P3, Grantis Garakis P2. But as we know, that's not just the only battle we have on the circuit. This battle for P6 is aggressive. It's got everything. It's got multiple cars, different manufacturers, different driving styles. It's what we're here for. What a way to start the season. Race 1, and it's already giving us one hell of a show.
Absolutely loving everything. It's a battle for 6th position, but it's only got 7 cars or 8 cars into it, because you've got Fisher, you've got Castorino, Tommy Rozier, Philippe Minard, Cody Sherritt, Jaroslav Hontik, Mikhail Satsenko and Mukska in there as well. Incident involving cars 2 and 4. It's a 5-second penalty for car number 2 for causing a collision. That is going to be Marco Bischoff. That is a day gone from bad to worse for the McLaren driver, and that was after the collision with the number 4 car, and that would have been Fleming Bauer.
Yes, so that is an unfortunate incident, but again, we've spoken about it. The pressures of a larger grid, the pressures of trying to find your position on this kind of circuit, these things happen, and these are the incidents that we do see tend to happen, especially as there's a bit of fatigue towards the end of the race, as we see race control once again, incident involving car 310 and car 99, 5-second penalty for car 99 for causing a collision. So again, the stewards seeing all these incidents, stewarding really, really well, but that doesn't mean we do not have action galore on the circuit, as we see right now, as we just switch over to Isaac Gillison in the Ferrari, putting pressure on the BMW of Christian Venter. But it is a very, very good period, because just in front of Gillison, Venter has a 5-second penalty and Mayer as well has a penalty. So it is all about, if you cannot get the overtake, just maintain pace with them, so that when they do serve their penalties at the end of the race, then you will get those positions because of the time lapse. So challenge galore, but try and get the move. Race control once again, ladies and gentlemen, incident involving car 52 and 31, and it's a 5-second penalty for car 31 for causing a collision. So we're seeing the penalties come thick and fast towards the end of the race. Last 10 minutes, try to find your position, and penalties are being given. But as we ride, again focusing on Tommy Rozier on the back of Fisher, putting a lot of pressure on Fisher. And again, we're seeing different manufacturers, BMW versus McLaren currently, seeing that the difference isn't that great between these cars, and dare I say, it's drivers who are making the big difference in how they try and go about the circuit.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely, and that's what I love about this championship. That's what I love about this this balance of performance. It really, really evens out the field for the most part here. And Tommy Rozier in that McLaren then has a little look at Gerd Fischer. It's going to be around the outside into turn 3. The BMW gets itself onto the dot there, and it's now a BMW sandwich for that McLaren right now, because you've got Gerd Fischer in front and Philippe Minard just behind. But hell of a run out of that corner there, and leaves Philippe Minard for dead here. McLaren absolutely pushing as hard as it can coming down into Schlosskopf. And of course that penalty that we saw there, that was Christian Venter that was caught up in that one, so he's got a 5-second penalty, and looks like a 5-second penalty as well for Henry Meyer in the number 99 Teletubby car down there in P28. Already gotten far too much exposure today on that livery that he's got on. But Abe Santima sends it up the inside of the Lamborghini for Finn Zimbel. Zimbel, who was doing a great job of holding on to that top 20 position. Looks like he's just been muscled out by the Aston Martin as well, up the inside there, and can't quite hold on to it. In fact, sorry, that's the Porsche Frank that's trying to do that just now. But meanwhile, it looks like Abe Santima up into the top 20, and that is going to be the only position he's going to get now, because the next car is Tariq Adam, who is 3.2 seconds up the road here. But we've got just under 10 minutes left to go in the race. Gerd Fischer leading a 26,000 car train coming up the front stretch here towards Remus Corner here. And I'll tell you what, for round 1 of a brand new championship, that's what you want to see. I mean, you want to see 42 cars separated by less than a second. You want to see at the end of a 60-minute race, you've got 6th position down to what is 13th position, separated by 4 seconds, 5 seconds actually.
Yeah, most definitely. That is exactly what we want to see. And I think one thing that is so interesting about this train is it's really not a train of comfort where everyone is just kind of holding position. It's a train of strategy. It's a train of chance, because I can tell you now, any opportunity that one of these drivers sees to get an overtake, they are going for it. They are sending that car down the inside. They're sending that car down the outside. They're really in this train because they're maintaining pace with each other, but they will challenge for that overtake. And that is what I love to see. First race in of a 12-round season, and no one is giving an inch. Everyone is looking to better their finishing position and start gathering points. So that is how big the prestige of the Genisus Esports Kaizen Championship is to these drivers. It is a real challenge, and will be here for 12 weeks, and I am already excited just based off what we're seeing in this first race.
Yeah, and that's the other thing to point out. It's not only that this is seen as a warm-up for LFM Pro as the series, it's now taken very, very seriously by the drivers in its completely own terms, if that makes sense. So it stands up on its own as a championship, which is fantastic to see. It just shows how far it's come along in just 3 seasons. I mean, we're already nearly a year into the championship since season 1, and 9 months almost will have gone by the time that we're done the end of this. So it really has flown by when we're having fun here.
Yeah, we're definitely having fun, and we've done so many races together, David. It's kind of warming and a bit weird for me to realize this is my 3rd season as well. Like, as much as these drivers are enjoying this, I'm enjoying this. I'm on the journey of learning, and I've been exposed to such a huge world of sim racing and just how great this community can be. So 3 seasons in, I am just as excited as I was for my first race, my second race, and I think these drivers keep making it better for me, and this is what I hope season 3 will be, as we have just under 6 minutes to go of this race, but still we're seeing battles on track. We're seeing cars driving nose to tail and trying to get an inch of room. So yes, this race is not over for long.
Well, it's thoroughly enjoyable to be on with you, Taps. It's my absolute pleasure to be here, and honestly it's one of the highlights of the week for me, being part of this championship here. But as you said, 5.5 minutes left to go. If you are already keeping an eye on things. We've got our driver of the day vote going up just now. Is it going to be Jack Alexander, Grantis Caracas, Luke Whitehead, or David Pertile that takes your driver of the day? 5 minutes left to go, and it's been this man here, Jack Alexander, making his very welcome return to the championship, and picking up pretty much where he left off. And, you know, Taps, without going too heavily into it, Jack had a ridiculous pace last season, but it was maybe his, maybe his temperament and lack of composure that kind of let him down after the races. He looks to have come back, shaken all of that off, and really picked up where he left off. As we've got 4.5 minutes left to go. Taps has taken a comfort break, aka his Wi-Fi's dropped out on us, so we'll get Taps back with us as soon as we possibly can. But here is back to 16th position. Valentin Barrier chasing down Florian Durkop. I was expecting big things from Valentin today, but unfortunately that penalty that he got earlier on in the race, that did cost him rather dearly. But 4 minutes left to go in this race, and there's quite a few other races that we've seen, Taps, where it all calms down by this point, but really we've got a 3-way fight involving a Honda and 2 Ferraris here, and this is still getting quite fighty here. As unfortunately, I'm not sure if we have got Taps back. I'll double check. I'll say welcome back if you are here, Taps. If not, we'll welcome you back with open arms as the Honda gets touched from behind. Marco Schade gets a little nudge there from Mutzke in that 44 Ferrari. Can't quite make it happen. Statsenko dropping back in position as well, but Schade has jumped 2 positions there, Taps.
Yeah, most definitely. I'm back. I just had a bit of a network glitch, but that happened. Thank you so much. Thank you. It seems like the network is not a huge fan of racing, because as drivers are going for the overtake, I lose visual of everything. But yes, 3 minutes to go, and it is not over. We see drivers still trying to get that position, still trying to get that finish, and we know how crucial it is, especially in this championship, to get points consistently, to be there or thereabouts. Even your bad race has to include some sort of haul of points, because it can get very tight, and with a grid this big, we will see fluctuations in positions, we will see changes up, down this whole grid. So it is important to get points wherever you can, even if that's the first race of the season.
Certainly is, but it looks like we're on our penultimate lap of the race. Your race leader is halfway through it, so we will get possibly 2 laps, but we'll wait and see, as Tommy Rozier making his way through some traffic as well, as you've got some actual fighting going on there as well. So I pity that poor lapped car that's in the middle of that fight right there. But Tom Rozier chasing down Gert Fischer in the BMW, who is just in front of him, as your race leader is going to be coming round. So I think we are going to get another lap to go after this one. As Jack Alexander comes across line, yeah, we certainly will. So this is the penultimate lap now that we're on here. So we've got two laps left to go. Yes, 2 laps left to go. Brain doesn't work when I say words like that, because honestly, it just it goes into meltdown. However, Grant Caracas safely in second position. He's now 4.3 seconds ahead of Luke Whitehead, but David Pertile is the man on a move right now. 1.1 seconds behind Luke Whitehead. Can he steal a podium right at the last gasp? He does have 2 laps in which to do it. It is a possibility, but again, we'll wait and see, because that gap is going up very, very slightly. But here is Tommy Rozier chasing down Gert Fischer. Again, that BMW just seems to have the run in the straight line. The McLaren does have the exit and the corners down on point, but that BMW could just absolutely boot it out of those corners, Taps.
Yeah, the exit stability of the BMW has been something very, very enjoyable to watch, and I think that is how, if you're driving the BMW, you take the learnings from this race, that is how you defend, getting the effective exit out of a corner, using the traction to just get the jump on the car behind you might be the way to defend in the BMW for the season going forward. But that being said, we're seeing a lot of Ferraris look comfortable and menacing, as we see Jack Alexander in his Ferrari crossing the start-finish line for the to start the final lap of this race, as we have 17 seconds to go. So this will be the victory lap for Jack Alexander. Keep cool, don't make a mistake, don't get a penalty, don't go over the track limits. That is what's going through Jack Alexander's mind probably at this point of the race. But a brilliant performance, David, and something that should be commended to start the season so confidently.
Yeah, a fantastic performance, and really, as I said, picking up where left off things. Grantis Caracas, you said this halfway through, we know the pace that this driver has got behind the wheel there. We know the performance they put in the second half of the season. It was so very close towards the end there, but it just wasn't to be. Luke Whitehead, though, in third position. But George Boothby, though, I mean, we haven't really spoken about that. We do have about a minute we can talk about that. The fact that our reigning champion retiring from the first race of the season after presumably a rage quit after a drive-through penalty. So we'll wait to see what happens with the rest of the season. But either way, Castorino will get a 5-second penalty right last gasp. That is going to keep him okay, actually, because Gerd Fischer 5.8 seconds away. But Jack Alexander, round 1 of season 3, the Genisus Risk Kaizen Championship, and the Ferrari driver has plucked this out of the absolute air. It's a wonderful victory there, round 1 of the championship, and Jack Alexander takes it after that amazing qualifying session. Grantis Caracas is going to take second position, and then it's going to be Luke Whitehead in third, David Pertile in fourth, Luke Addison in fifth position, and then it's Amadeo Castorino is going to finish in sixth position. And we've got confirmation of that penalty there, the 888 and 194. So it's a different incident. There's a 5-second penalty there between the 888 and the 194 for causing a collision there. So that is the 888 car and the 194. And that is a 5-second time penalty given to Samir Foch. You've also got Meyer in there as well, the 99 car, for causing a collision with the 218. That is Meineke. So, wow, well, it all got a little bit hectic towards the end there as Jan Rochelle decides to absolutely send it into the barrier there. I'm sure he'll get a little bit of a look at from the stewards after that. I'm sure we've had some issues from that before. Either way, Taps, that was a damn enjoyable first round. I'll come back to that in a second. Noah Ader getting a drive-through penalty. He's actually out of the race. He's not pitted. Never mind. And that is a 23 and 19. So that is going to be a 5-second penalty for the 23 car for causing a collision. Right, Taps. What the hell? That was an awesome first round of the championship.
Yeah, I told you we were looking to start the season on a high, looking for a strong race, looking for a strong performance, and I think we've got that. Might that be the greatest start to a racing season? I don't know, you tell me, but it was thoroughly enjoyable. We saw some immense performances from the likes of Jack Alexander, Grantis Caracas. We saw a lot of drivers trying to assert themselves and trying to show what they're about this season. So that's one way to start the season. And if that's a teaser for what the rest of season 3 will hold, I'm shaking with excitement. It is going to be a massive season.
Yeah, it certainly is. So we're just waiting for the drivers to come in for the post-race chat. Just a reminder, ladies and gentlemen, we do have a driver vote just now going on for your driver of the day. Who do you think should take it? Is it Jack Alexander, Grantis Caracas, Luke Whitehead, or David Pertile? We will be closing the votes for that very shortly indeed. But a huge thank you to everyone that has been out there tonight, giving us support and giving us love for everything that is out there just now. But as we said, we'll wait for the drivers to come in. I've also noticed that I was panicking there thinking that we didn't have an interview waiting room, but we do have one there. One down there for our drivers to come in. We can see they're all waiting there. So we've got Jack Alexander waiting to have a chat with us. Let's bring him in and have a little word with him, because he will be very keen to have a chat. We'll get him in as soon as we possibly can. But I mean, obviously, Taps, we said that, you know, they want to be able to get the best possible start that they can here. I don't think Jack could have done anything more on that.
Yeah, look, if there's one way to set your confidence up as a driver, setting up for a season and trying hopefully for a championship run, that's really how you want it. A flawless performance, right? Yes, they lost the position at the start to Luke Whitehead, but they got it back. And the moment they got that position back, they looked indestructible. They were in sync with their Ferrari, maintaining a strong pace throughout the race. Nothing kind of shook them, and that's all you want to start the season.
Yeah, certainly is. Right, let's bring in our winning driver then. Let's bring in Jack Alexander for a quick chat. Jack, congratulations. Welcome back to Season 3. Picking up where you left off, you had incredible pace in Season 2, and you've kind of kicked ass on that first race there.
Mm-hmm. It was a pretty good race. Like I had a really strong quality. I beat my PB by nearly a 10th and a half in quality. So I had a really good quality. So that's, honestly, it was a pretty boring race, I sat behind Luke, waited for him to make a mistake, and then as soon as I took the leads and saw that I had a nice gap, I took it easy, never took any risks, and just drove it home. Honestly, I don't think there's much to say. It's a pretty boring race.
And obviously, patience-wise, it was quite a big thing because, as you said, the Porsche really didn't seem to have the same pace that you did there. Was there ever any moment where you were just like, no, I need to get past?
I mean, I knew the Porsche would struggle in race pace, so when I was behind Luke, I drove within myself, I never really I was always braking early, and just taking it really easy behind Luke. So I knew he was short in practice because I spoke to him before the race. So I took it easy, drove within myself, waited for the mistake, and then took the lead and then drove away.
Either way, it still takes a lot of effort to be able to do that and do it so coolly. Congratulations anyway, Jack. Anybody you want to say thanks to or say hello to tonight?
I guess just thanks to the organisers for letting us drive in this league without any entry fees or anything. It's pretty nice.
Excellent stuff. Well, listen, Jack, congratulations on the race win. We'll see you next time out.
Yeah, see you in round 2.
Excellent stuff. There we go then. Race winner Jack Alexander. So let's go and have a chat with Genisus Caracas then, and taking second place. Genisus, welcome back to Season 3. Back on the podium yet again. We're going to have to take a crowbar to get you off of this podium at this point.
Thanks guys. It was quite a carnage there, this race. Somehow I survived it, so that was obviously the key to this podium probably. Obviously quali didn't go as planned. Started P8, it wasn't great. Just took it clean, people were crashing all over the place, so I just, tried to avoid all of them, avoided most of them, so yeah, it was quite tough, but I know I had the pace, if I just keep it clean, I know I'm just gonna finish somewhere near the podium or even on the podium. So yeah, quite happy that I avoided all those incidents, and yeah, it was quite good.
Now, it was a hell of a drive for yourself because the first half of the race we were thinking, oh yeah, it's looking good for a top 5 here, and then the second half of the race it's like, oh well, hang on a minute here, this could be quite awesome here. How comfortable did you feel when you saw that Porsche coming towards you with the pace?
I have the pace, at least in the race. Obviously didn't prep as much, so wasn't fully 100% comfortable, but I still know I have the pace. I have the pace to fight for a podium, so I didn't really care. I just kept on driving, pushing, and, keep it clean, of course.
Excellent stuff. Well, listen, congratulations on the second place again. Is there anybody else that you want to say hello to or say thanks to tonight?
Yeah, obviously thanks to my teammates, we've been prepping a bit with the setup, and obviously the team. It's good to be a Ferrari sports team, so yeah.
Excellent stuff. Well, Genisus, congratulations on second place, and we'll see you next week.
See ya. Bye-bye.
There we go then. Second place for Genisus Caracas. Let's bring in third place then, Luke Whitehead, in that Porsche. Luke, congratulations on third position. It's safe to say that was quite a tough effort for yourself. That Porsche didn't look like it had the same pace that the Ferraris did.
Yeah, well, first off, good evening, everyone. Hope you're doing well. It's been a little while, but we're back. So, yeah, it certainly wasn't the easiest. I think the car was okay. I think the pace was down to me rather than the car, honestly. I think quality pace was good. Could have been a lot better, but I haven't had that much prep because I've been ill the last few days. Literally was in hospital yesterday, so it's not been the most ideal prep. I had about half an hour today, so compared to most other people who've had a couple of days, I think to be up there was a victory in itself for me. And you know, obviously some people got penalties, some people got drive-throughs. I got hit in the rear myself, so it was certainly a little bit easier than it could have been had some other people kept it cleaner. But nonetheless, you know, I was never really going to fight Jack or Grantas that hard, and you know, we're going to be quicker. But yeah, as I say, P3 still a good result and a good opener for the season at what is a track that I kind of struggle with, if I'm honest. So got all the driver excuses today, but yeah, so a good start to the season, I think. As I said, it's a long old season, as we've seen before. So yeah, I'm ready for the rest.
Well, firstly, we've got to say thank you for coming and joining us in the race tonight. Hopefully, it's nothing too serious. Hopefully, you're on the mend very, very well from pretty much the entire community and all of the watchers as well. But look, as well, you know, that second half of the race as well, the Porsche really just. It, as you mentioned there, it didn't have the legs and maybe a little bit from yourself as well. You'll be hoping then for the rest of the season you'll be able to bounce back quite quickly, because despite not having, you know, the pace to keep up with Jack and Grantas, you still were about 4 seconds ahead of the rest of them up until the final couple of laps there.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'll be honest, I think the illness was starting to creep in a little bit. It was starting to get a little pain here and there, which kind of contributed to my pace not being as good. And I was also on 3 warnings, so I was making sure I didn't get a drive-through. But yeah, I think definitely, I mean, looking at the championship, this is almost certainly going to be my weakest track. Well, you know, it is my weakest track out of all of them, I think. So yeah, I mean, the signs are positive, I think. And as I say, I was still trying to learn the setup, did no race prep. So the setup was kind of just a case of me learning as I went on. And yeah, as I say, P3 is still a good start to the season. And, you know, there's 11 races left on the calendar, some of which are super strong tracks for myself. So I'm excited and glad to get off the ground in a decent state.
Well, look, if this is the worst result that you have this season, god damn, it's going to be a scary season for you.
Touch wood.
Oh man, that's going to be wild. But anybody else that you want to say thanks to or say hello to tonight?
Yeah, but of course, I want to say thank you to the team, Veloce. They've been massively supportive through my escapades as of late. Obviously, the 24-hour solo at the weekend was pretty rough, and obviously they supported me heavily through it.
I'm going to jump in there. Why would you do that to yourself?
Why not? I mean, I've always wanted to do a 24-hour solo, and what better place than Lords? And yeah, I mean, I'd like to also clarify that the illness is not related in any position. So yeah, there's nothing to do with that. But you know, I just thought, why not? I wanted to do it. So yeah, as I say, thanks so much to Veloce for the massive support. Thanks to just everyone really for the support as well. And thanks again to Genisus as well for holding this championship. It's not only good prep for LFM, as they mentioned in the briefing, but it's also just good to have another championship with money. So yeah, thanks again, guys. And yeah, hopefully I'll talk to you guys many more times in the season.
Excellent stuff. Well, listen, Luke, thanks very much for joining us tonight, and get well soon, buddy.
Thanks, mate. Have a good one. Have a good one, guys.
There we go then. Luke Whitehead taking 3rd position tonight, and a bit of a hero drive there. Sounded like he was a little bit under the weather. And Taps, I mean, it's safe to say that a mixture of emotions there from Jack Alexander, who, from the sounds of it, had it all under control and barely lifted a finger getting that win tonight, to Grantas, who was fairly happy, and to Luke, who was just happy to be on the podium.
Yep, such is the life of a racing driver, that it depends on the day. You could have all the emotions, none of the emotions, and you have everything, right? But that's why I love this championship, right? You have such different contrasts, such different personalities, such different attitudes, and that's why these interviews with these drivers are so fantastic, because you get to hear them kind of unfiltered and just happy, elated to be on the podium. And I kind of love when Luke Whitehead says he's got all the racing driver excuses for this week. That is perfect racing driver chat.
Yeah, but he's used them all in the one round. I'm not sure. I would have been tempted to sort of even them out with my my ability, but either way, that is round one done and dusted. The driver of the day poll was a tie between Jack Alexander, Grantis Caracas, and David Pertale. Both of them all three of them getting 30% each. Luke Whitehead, poor Luke, only getting 7%. I'm sure if that was after the interview, that might have been a little bit different. But let's see. We've got our viewer participation draw is ready to go then. So let's see who is going to win a $10 Steam voucher for watching tonight. It's Slim Pickens tonight here. So let's have a quick look then. We've got is that Paul Z, Iron Field, Roland Stein. Should he be on the grids? I'm a little bit annoyed at that, but either way, well, Roland Stein, congratulations. You get yourself a $10 Steam voucher. We'll get that over to you ASAP. But there we go. That is round one of 12 of the brand new season of Genisus Kaizen Championship done and out of the way. Huge thank you to our partners at Immersive Labs and at Genisus Risk for helping make this happen. A huge thank you to all of our audience as well. And Taps, an awesome way to start the season. Another 11 rounds to go.
Yep. Again, we'll be out of breath. We'll be hoarse voices by the end of the season. But I'm telling you what, it's going to be one hell of a season to go through.
Certainly is. Join us for every step of the way here on the Genesis Extreme Esports channel. Until next week, ladies and gentlemen, have a wonderful, wonderful time, and we'll see you same place, same time next week.
The engines roar in the background, the sun begins to set, the green flag flies, and we are racing here in very, very sketchy deep contact, and there goes Valentin Barriers. Oh! The leader's lost it! Not Ater loses it into the gravel at the final corner, loses it. Amazing bit of work there from Luke Harrison.
Inside the three abreast heading into Brual.
It's been lights to flag victory for George 50. He's done everything that's been required. It's looked so bloody easy yet again.